The only one worried about the magic is you and the rats talking in the walls.
The only one worried about the magic is you and the rats talking in the walls. To the rat catcher, Darkwing. Oh, wait, I'm Darkwing. Launchpad.
Hey, everybody. Jim Cummings here. Welcome to my podcast, Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. We have a great guest for you today. But before we get to that, make sure you like and subscribe. Our podcast has partnered with the largest Comic-Con in North America, Fan Expo, the Juggernaut. We're touring all over North America live, so get your tickets and come be a part of the live audience. It'll be fun. Go to fanexpohq.com for the tickets. We'll see you in a city near you, or a little bit away, but you can drive. And with all that said and done, sit back and enjoy today's episode. And as always, thanks for tuning in to Toon'd In with Jim Cummings.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Toon'd In with Jim Cummings. I am producer Chris, joined as always by the legend himself, Mr. Jim Cummings. How are you doing today, sir?
Hello, 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 one and all. And have we got a show for you?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll, please.
We have a very special guest today, a singer, a very talented actor.
Unbelievable.
We'll get into all of that very much later. Adassa, thank you so much for joining us.
So glad to be with all of you.
Oh, amen. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. And you look fabulous and life is good. Oh, man.
Life is very good.
Yeah, it is. It's good to be you.
It's good to be alive.
Yeah, what you said. Well, thanks for being alive with us.
Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself?
I am Afro-Latina and my family is all Colombian. That's how I got cast in the film Encanto. And I was born in Florida, so I'm from the South. All my kids were born in the South, from Arizona to Tennessee and even Monterrey, Mexico. I started doing music since I was about 6 years old. And once The Little Mermaid came out, I knew I wanted to be part of that world. What would I give if I could live out of these waters? Like, that was my dream. I just wanted to be an extra at Disney. Like, I didn't even dream like high dreams. I'm like, I just want to be a greeter. I was like, hello, welcome to Disney. The parade starts at 3 o'clock. That was it.
Well, technically you failed because you're so much more. You're infinitely, you overshot that goal. So much for that. What next? President?
It's beautiful. I'm actually releasing a book. It comes out, it's already out, and then it has an album that drops May 8th. And so I'm very excited. It's my memoir. It's talking about the experience that I've had in music, being on stages all over the world, working with Pitbull, Flo Rida, Snoop Dogg, Ciara, Missy Elliott, and then taking a break from music, retiring from music, and then Disney came a-knocking out of the blue. And so it's been quite the journey of retirement and then out of retirement.
Why did you retire from music?
I wanted to spend more time with the family. I started baking bread. I started focusing on my spirituality and then just focused on that. And we have a film and TV company. So my husband does music for Warner Chappell, for music, for all kinds of shows and telenovelas and dramas and movies. And so I just kind of took a step back and focused on the kids. We have 7 children and 5 of them are still at home.
Amazing.
But I kept writing. Oh, they all are talented. Actually, they're all signed with an agency.
Well, I was talking about their mom, but okay. I'm sure they're pretty good.
I try not to believe me. This business is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart or for someone who needs their ego stroked. It's not. This is for the business of break you until you made it and then maybe break you again. And if you still survive, then there's a place for you.
Well, that explains it because I'm too stupid to quit. So that's why I'm still here.
That's us.
I'm still here. So there, take that. Oh my gosh. Well, that's an amazing story. And now did you always know? Because I kind of always knew that I was going to do something like this, something exactly like this. When were you sitting there on your grandma's knee or grandpa's and saying, well, what do you think you're going to do, honey, when you grow up? And you said, well, I'm going to be an astonishingly gifted performer and actress and singer. And is that what happened?
I wanted to sing, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. I actually carried the torch for 3 generations because my grandmother wanted to be a singer.
Whoa.
But growing up in Colombia, and she's from a very humble family, she didn't have the means to make it in the business or
Sure.
even the connections to do it. And
Right.
so she turned to something more practical. She went into medicine. And then my mom, she wanted to be a musician. And so she played the guitar and had a little band in Colombia. They were called Mar Azul. And they had one song on the radio. That was like the highlight. And
Wow.
when I came along, I was like, no, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do it all the way. And so I do carry the torch for three generations. Actually, when I was being cast in the film and my callback, that's what I talked about. I was like, I need you to
Yeah.
know where I came from. And I showed them pictures of my mom and my grandma. And I told them about my dad, that he had to start working when he was like 9 years old to feed the family and to bring money in. And so he sold arepas and
gosh.
bollos door to door. So
No
being
kidding.
in the United States and being born here is a privilege. Believe me, I am one of those lucky people that have parents that strive to give us something other than what they were born into. And I'm grateful for it.
Yeah, it's funny because my people are all from the United States, but my dad had to do that when he was a little guy. He had to get out, and he was 9 or 10 years old, and he said, well, son, you better get your butt out there and start supporting the family and doing this. And he would do odd jobs, and he would just bring all 56 cents home for that day's work, and throw it into the coffer. So, yeah, wow. I can't believe we have similar backgrounds.
I think that that's what gives us that grit of never quit. I never saw my parents quit anything. I saw them do a lot of things to make sure. Like my dad, he cleaned offices, moved furniture. I remember him having a moving company, and we would like go with him. So they really, really did everything they could. And so when I had this dream, obviously I also did not have any money, but I had a lot of drive. Then I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And so starting off in the industry with that mindset, the first thing you do, like in any business, is you study your competition. You're like, I'm going to go out there and I'm going to be better than everyone, and I'm going to match them or beat them. And so that was my first 10 years in my career, was like, I'm going to make this happen because I want to make a living off of this. I don't just I want to make a living.
Yes.
And when I met my husband, he and I got together. He's an amazing songwriter. And that's when I got signed to my very first record deal. And so I got signed, and then we got together. Then I got signed to my first publishing deal. And that's where the dream just morphed way beyond being an extra at Disney. And that's when I got signed and traveled. And so after taking that break, I decided, you know what, I'm going to focus on just being like the super best mom ever,
Oh, that's great.
Like I still homeschool the kids. Like I'm literally like, I'll turn my camera. This is the homeschool room for two of my little ones over here. So I have my office over here
That's
and then
great.
schoolroom over here.
That's so
And
cool.
so
Good for
I
you.
love spending that time with them. It's beautiful. It's fun. I get to learn a lot. They teach me more, I think, than sometimes I teach them.
And they have a teacher that they can actually stand. That they don't
know.
like well, sometimes. I went to Catholic school, and some of the nuns were tough.
Oh boy.
They were like,
yeah.
but your kids, I think they've got it covered. Good for you.
Thank you. No, it's not
I hope
easy,
they know
but
how
they're
lucky
all,
they are.
because they're all into the arts. My 13-year-old, she'd rather, do her puppet animation all day long than to learn about
Oh, that's
physics.
great.
So I say, this is the goal. You graduate, you're done. And so my 16-year-old graduated at 14. And so now she gets to spend the next 2 years doing basically whatever she wants until she goes to college. So she's doing that. So
Good for her.
Graduated
Wow,
at
that's
14.
amazing.
That's amazing.
yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
I
that
wanted
is
to ask you, you were talking about earlier how you're from you're the third generation of singers. Did you feel pressure when you were young because of that? Or was it uplifting, encouraging? I feel like that would kind of be a little daunting, if you're coming from that lineage to do that.
Not if that's what you want to do. I think it's if the expectation of the parent is for the child to do it. For me, it was never an expectation. It was a goal. It was a dream that I wanted to make materialize. It was never like, well, you're expected to go into the family business. Never. I just was so hungry for it. That was hard because my parents were just trying to survive. Like I wanted to be like, I want to go try out for the Mickey Mouse Club. You remember? MICKEY. Like I grew up during the time of the Britney Spears and the Christina Aguilera's
God,
going
yes.
to try out.
Yeah.
And I was like, come on, please. We live in Miami. I just want to go to Orlando and try out,
Yeah, that's
but
true, huh?
I had to find my way. And then I had to find my voice.
We have to find it too.
So I think it's the expectation of a parent that is what's daunting sometimes for them, and it feels like so
Mhm.
much pressure. For me, it was never an expectation. To me, it was like, this is what I want to do. This is my
Oh,
dream. I'm
oh, that's
grateful
good.
that you opened the eyes. Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes.
So
Because
it's
I
like
mean, if
you're
it's
born into
yours,
a
you
family
own
of
it.
painters, but
Yeah,
you want to
yeah,
paint.
yeah, yeah. It's so true. Yeah, well, good for you. I see. I think, and I've often said this. I think the earlier you know who you're going to be and what you're going to do and what career you're going to pursue, the earlier you land on that, the better. The earlier, the better, because it gives you that much longer to aim at the target. And I've said it before on this podcast. I knew I was going to do this when I was 5, so it gave me a nice ramp. It gave me a nice lead time. Plenty of time to find the bullseye.
I think you
And
also
and
have
I
to
think
have
it's
some
true.
sort of delusion about success. Because if you really look, and I think right now it's even more challenging than
I think you're
probably
right.
you started or I started, it's
I
that
think you're right.
competition is in your face all day long. Somebody's better
Yeah.
than you, started when they were younger than you, so much taller than you, so much prettier than
Yeah.
you. They could do more than you. Like constantly, it's just you're attacked by people's talents. And instead of being influenced by a goal and influenced by the few, you're
Hmm.
influenced by the world. And so now more than ever, I think it's hard for new talents to see that as a possibility instead of a like,
Hmm.
well, now all these people started so much time ago. Why should I even try? Like for me,
Yeah.
I was delusional. How would I ever know I would end up doing what I did? I was just a girl born from
Hmm.
Colombian parents living in the South with a dream. That was it. Like I never expected to live this kind of dream. But
That's
you
all
do
it
have to be
took.
delusional of your success, your possible success.
Sure. No, I agree. Yeah. Well, what was it? I hope for the best. I accept. I expect. I hope for the best. I expect the worst, but I take what comes.
There you
And
go.
that gets you through a lot. It gets you through a lot of tough times and prepares you for the good ones.
Yes,
Knock wood. And you've had plenty of good ones. That's a
I've had.
fantastic thing. Yes. And so you knew that you were always going to do this kind of
Yes.
basically.
The hard part was being in the middle of the audition. My
Yeah.
family and I had COVID, and then I got hit with the second wave of COVID. I actually thought I was pregnant because I started feeling sick, and it was literally the day after the callback. That audition I
Oh.
had in front of Jared Bush and Byron Howard and Yvette
Oh.
Menino. And I went to the hospital. I told my husband, I'm just going to go take a blood test because my pregnancy tests had come out negative, but that had happened with our second child. So I was like, you just
Uh-huh.
and so I went there, and then
Yeah.
within the hour, I couldn't speak, and then I couldn't move my hands and my legs, and before I knew it, I
Wow.
was paralyzed from the neck down.
No
What?
kid. And that was COVID?
Yes, I didn't know it at the time. I thought I was dying because I could barely breathe when it would happen. And the doctors didn't know what was happening. They ran CT scans, MRIs, test after test, and then after hours of being there, they told me, "We don't know what your symptoms are." And I said, "Well, I don't want to die here." My husband couldn't be with me. So I signed myself out against doctor's orders and I went home and I wrote my will. I kissed my kids and then I waited for death.
Oh
And
my God.
and then during that moment where I was just trying to just breathe, we had a friend come over who just happened to be an EMT, and he's like, "Let's go to Vanderbilt because I live in Nashville, and let's get a
Mm.
second opinion." We went there after another 14 hours of test after test. The neurologist came and said, there's so many unknowns with COVID. We don't know if or when your symptoms may pass. We can run a spinal tap to see if maybe it's Guillain-Barré syndrome, but there's nothing we can do. And so that was it. That was my
Eesh.
fate. And this was after the callback. So every day after day, I would just
Okay.
go to sleep and then hope I would wake up.
Well, there's no pressure then, huh? God bless you, my dear.
That is absolutely insane. That's so crazy. That must have been such a huge mix of emotions, terrifying, and oh, I can't even imagine paralysis. How long did that last for?
It it would go on and off. So like what I unfortunately the way that it worked for me is that I couldn't do multiple tasks at the same time. So if I wanted to talk, I could talk. If wanted to move, I could move. But if I wanted to walk and
Oh,
talk, I would just pass out and hit the floor.
no
And
kidding.
when the
My
paralysis would
goodness.
take over, it was like somebody just shutting down. little by little, every knob of function in my body. And so I would just like stop being able to walk, and then my words would just start to slur. And literally, I'm giving a rap the night before. So this is what it feels like to match wits with someone at your level. You know what I mean? I'm rapping over here.
Whoa.
I'm doing some Hamilton.
Yeah,
and then the
yeah.
next day I can't even say my name. And I'm like, what is happening to my brain, to my hands? And so we started to pray, and we started to try to figure out what was going on our own. And I started fasting. And during the times, every day I would wake up and I would hope to go to sleep that night and wake up the next day. And so
Yeah.
there was one particular moment that was extremely, like, I guess, eye-opening for me, and
Yeah.
the greatness that it is to have a family, was that I was in the bath, and I told my husband, I'm just gonna take a bath. I'm so exhausted. My body is spent. And he was like, okay, I'll go to the kitchen and then I'll come in and check on you. And the water started rising and my body started shutting off, and then I started sinking. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna scream for help, and nothing came out because I was going into full paralysis. And I thought, I am going to die in this tub. And as I was sinking and the water started rising over my nose, my husband opened the door, rushed in, took me out completely naked, and placed me on the bed. And I was just sobbing. And then we sat there, and then I said, I'm just useless. I'm a head in a bed. What good am I? I had put my value so much on my talent, on if I could sing, if I can, perform, if I could make a mean plate of enchiladas and clean my house and do all the dishes or whatever.
Yeah.
I always placed my value on my talents or my abilities. And when all of that got stripped away, I understood that it's just good enough to be loved, and it's just good enough to be alive, and it's more than enough to feel the love and receive help from others. And that's the biggest thing that my husband showed me. He's like, if this is the reality, then we're gonna make do. If you can't talk, I'll speak for you. I'll learn to read your face. And he was just, it's a blessing.
Wow. Well, wherever he is, what's his name?
Gabriel, my husband.
Saint Gabriel.
He is my angel, Gabriel.
I'm sure it's no coincidence that he shares his name with an archangel.
Really. And literally,
that gets me.
during those days, when I was laying down in his lap, one of those hard days, we get a call, and it's Jamie Sparrow Roberts, the casting director for Frozen, Wreck-It Ralph, Tangled. I mean, some of the biggest hits. Congratulations, you got the part. And I still could barely speak. And my husband just put his hands over the phone, over the microphone, and he's like, you gotta tell him you can't take this. And I whispered, you call him if I'm dead.
Yeah.
I'm taking
Yes.
this.
Oh, I'm taking it. Yeah. Yeah. He didn't realize that the actress is saying, yeah, no problem. No problem at all. In fact, it might even cure me.
I think partially it did.
I think, no, it really does. I think we all have a certain rise to the occasion. What's that? I can't do it. Oh, really? That now you're up and at 'em.
Exactly.
It's for better or worse. It probably reveals too much about my personality, but I do better when somebody has, and I have, when they say, "Well, you're not going to make it. You stink. Yeah, you're terrible. Yeah, no, you know what? You think you're this. You think, nope. Get on down to the steel mill. Join the Teamsters, because that's it, partner. That's you. Ooh, that's your destiny. And I had a for, I don't want to put too fine a point on this, but I had a guy who dated my cousin, who lived across the street, and his name was Jim Mon. He was a teacher at Ursuline High School, and he slammed me up against the locker, and he says, let me tell you something, Cummings. You think you're this, you think you're that, with all your little stupid voices and everything. Oh, you'd be, Mr. Speech, turn him in. You ain't gonna do shit with that, okay? Get me? You're gonna get up. You're gonna go. You're gonna try to, about a year and a half of college. You're gonna flunk out. You ain't going to college, and you're not getting a diploma. And then you're going to go to the mill, and then you're going to go back and forth from the sheet and tube to the Briar Hill Works, and you're going to do that for like 40 years. Then you're going to sit at home. You're going to have a rocking chair, drink Schlitz beer, and lose money on the Steelers and the Browns. And I said, wow, are you sure that's me? Are we talking about the same me? And my point is, I get more encouragement from that speech than, you're going to do it. Go get him, partner. Rah, rah, rah. Sis, boom, bah. Good for you. But somebody telling me I can't do it, it's as good as done, which is probably reveals too much about my personality, and I
But that's what it
apologize.
takes. There's so much more pressure on somebody staying down than there is to lift them up. And there's so much pressure
Yeah.
in the industry to just better yourself. Okay, you did that, now do something more. And the
Yeah.
reality is, for somebody who's creative, there's no end to our creativity. To the
Mm-hmm.
contrary, there may be less opportunities to do it that somebody else is handing you. But with technology today, you're the one that gives yourself the mic. You're the one that turns on that camera. You're the one that can create anything you can possibly imagine and make yourself your own star. So why
That's right.
don't you?
Yeah, it's so good. That's so true. We should carve that into stone. Make that, put that out there.
I heard you in another interview say that the casting director found you through a video on YouTube. Can you tell us that
Yes.
story?
So every time I have a baby, my husband and I get into this let's get back into shape mode. And so we will make music as if I'm going to release an album just so I can get nice and fit and cool and feel pretty again, get my waist back. And so I've had to bounce back 6 times. I've had no twins. Like every pregnancy, it's been like, okay, here we go again. And so in this time, my husband's like, you know what? We've been working our music and stuff. Why don't we take a break? Let's go to Miami. And we're like, yeah, of course, let's go. And so we went to Miami. But we always bring our gear with us. And I'm sure, like Jim, you take your mic with you, you take basic equipment,
Yeah.
like because you never know when inspiration hits.
Never know.
And so it was like 4:30 in the morning, and Gabriel's like, good morning. And I'm like, hi, good morning, because he gets up. And so we do our devotional and we read together, and it's like about 5. And he's like, the light's so pretty right now. And I'm like, yeah, it's so nice. And he's like, why don't we shoot a video for that song we just made? I'm like, babe, I want to go downstairs, have some tacos, and hit the beach. And he's like, one take, and then we go. I'm like, all right, fine. So he turns on the camera, and I'm literally like in my pajama pants, and I get in there and I start rapping it, and it's like this really low voice, and it's in Spanish. Háblame claro, dime por qué acabó. Lo de nosotros fue más de una noche de simple pasión. And I just rap the thing, and I'm like, okay, you promised me some tacos. And so we went to have our tacos. So we uploaded it to our YouTube channel. I totally forgot about it. And it might have had maybe 300 views. It's not like one of my biggest, players, because we didn't promote it. We didn't like do a lead in.
Yeah.
We just put it up there. But one of those people that were watching was Grace Kim, who is now the casting director of Disney. But she was casting directing assistant to Jamie Sparrow Roberts. And so that's how they found me, was through my YouTube channel. But I had not checked that email in forever, probably over a year. And so my phone broke on that trip. We go get it updated. And then, the first thing you do, you have to update all your passwords. So I updated the passwords and I did my YouTube channel. Then all these hundreds and hundreds of emails come up. And at the top of that, it was, we'd like to get a hold of Adassa for an opportunity. And that was Disney.
Wow.
So I did not do a casting for it. I did not have an agent. I had never considered myself an actress. I've done things for McDonald's and Secret, but it's always been musically. And so when I got, the audition opportunity, they were like, can you act? I'm like, well, I'm a mother of 7, so acting is in my blood. Let's give it a go,
Yeah, that's right. Oh, God. Yeah. I act like these kids aren't ready to drive me nuts.
I know you joke, but was that actually intimidating at all to do voice acting for the first time?
It was different than singing, because singing, you're also conveying a message, but with voice acting, and now I've learned so much more since then. It's a lot more of learning to know who you are and what your voice is. And then you take somebody's script and bring yourself to the table. And that's what you're really presenting. You're not trying to do something else. That's what you're doing, unless you're asked to voice match something, and then you have to go into that texture that they're asking you for, that raunchy personality, and who are they from? Do they have an accent? Is it a baby? And so since then, I've learned so much more. But when that happened, I was like, oh my goodness, I don't even know what my personality is right now. Can you just give me 5 more minutes and figure myself out, and then I'll come back to the table. But that was the hardest thing, was they're just trying to find the voice of Dolores. But the most incredible, weird coincidence of it all was when I was finally in front of that microphone. And I had to do, literally, from not being able to speak, I had 3 weeks before I was in the booth and doing the recordings. And it was like training like Rocky, but in slow motion. I'm gonna make it from here to the door. Bring me a water. I'm dying over here.
Oh
That was
God.
training until I was there. And so when
Jeez.
I first was on the microphone and I was in my energetic self, then they told me, we were hoping that Dolores could be a more soft-spoken character. And literally all of that time in paralysis, that's exactly how I had to speak in a very hushed tone, very
Mm.
quiet, because that's all I could give before I literally would pass
Yeah.
out. If I gave any more strength to my voice, I would literally just check out. And so
Well, you were accidentally rehearsing.
I didn't know. I was preparing for the part of a lifetime because
Wow.
everything was in a hushed tone. I'm a Latina. You can see me. I talk very loud. I move my hands.
I
And
hadn't
yet,
noticed, but okay.
right? It's in there. But during that time, I had to become very still, and everything had to be very mechanical and very slow, and just don't ever move anything. It's just like it had to be so intimate. And so when I started going, like I was like, yeah, I think I could do that, and I just went there, and he was like. Jared Bush was the one that directed me almost in every session. He was like, "Yes, that's the sound. Keep it right there." And I'm like,
Wow.
I've been keeping it there for quite a
Yeah.
while now.
Keeping it. Yeah. Yeah. If it works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.